Hello dear student, welcome on this video lecture. We were talking about differentiation. Most of the basic part of differentiation we have covered. Some of the different type of questions are also there. So we will be dealing in this short video about those type of questions. So there is a one type. If y is given as a function of time and x is also given as a function of time, so g as a t, this is also read as a function of time. So both are as a function of time, and we need to find, and somebody says find dy upon dx. That means we need to find the differentiation, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to differentiate this separately. We are going to differentiate this separately, and then we'll be finding this. So idea is out of this we can write dy upon dt. So this dy upon dt is going to over d upon dt on this function, which is a function of time or t, that can be easily differentiated using the rules of differentiation. Similarly, we will be differentiating this, so it will be dx upon dt. That means we are applying operator d upon dt both sides, so it will become d over dt on this whatever the function gt is. Now this can also be differentiated, so that means we can get this dy by dt, we can also get this dx by dt. Now since we need to find dy by dx, so this dy by dx can be written as dy upon dt divided by dy upon this dx upon dt. So if you see on the right hand side, the numerator and denominator we have separately differentiated and calculated. So we are just going to divide these two to find out the dy by dx value. So we can write it's going to be basically differentiation of f divided by differentiation of t. You remember a differentiation is also indicated by this dash, or you say this prime. So f prime divided by g prime, so that will become your answer. So let's take an example, and that example will be explaining what this particular rule I'm talking about. So it says let y as a function of t is given, that is t cube minus 2t square, and x is equal to t square plus 5. We need to find dy by dx at t equal to 1. So that's the question. You can pause the video, you can use the rule that I explained and simplify and get your answer. Then we can check whether this answer is correct. Now what we are going to do, in order to find dy upon dx, we need to first calculate this. We will differentiate this both sides. So this will be differentiated as dy upon dt, and this is going to be differentiation of d upon dt on this. So we apply d upon dt on this y, which is t cube minus 2t square. After using the rules that we have learned, this can be written as 3t square minus 4t. I'm writing directly. So this becomes 3t square, this becomes 2t, so that becomes 2 into 2, 4t, right? And similarly, we will be saying what the dx by dt is going to be. So dx by dt will be equal to, differentiating this now, that is going to be d upon dt, that's differentiation of this x, which is t square plus 5. Now t square will get into 2t, and the 5 is being constant will become 0. So using these two, we can find what the dy by dx is. So dy by dx will be equal to dy upon dt divided by dx upon dt. So this is basically handling the variables or intermediary variables t, and then you can simply say that's going to be a t, you can take common, so in bracket you are going to get as a 3t minus 4 for the first part, or numerator, divided by, in denominator is going to be twice t. T and t getting cancelled out, so this will become 3t minus 4 divided by 2. Anyway, calculation you can verify, idea is there. So I'm worried about this idea. So dy upon dx came out to be 3t minus 4 by 2. So that's why that's how we are able to find the dy by dt. So but in this question we need to find dy by dt at t equal to 1. So once we have found out what is this dy upon dx is ultimately, then at last we place this value, right? So we will say at t equal to 1, dy by dx will be equal to, now you just place t equal to 1, so it's going to be 3 into 1 minus 4 divided by 2. So that's going to be 3 minus 4, that's minus 1, so minus 1 by 2 will become your answer. Making sense? So if this kind of questions are coming, that means one variable is dependent on another, then another variable is also there. So we can differentiate them separately, and we can use this rule to find the dy by dx, or differentiation of one with respect to another. Next step is to deal with explicit and implicit functions. So functions can be of two categories, like implicit and explicit. So what they mean, let me explain over here. So explicit functions are those in which the independent variable and dependent variable, they are separate. Like if we write y is equal to function of x, that means y is on the left side, and on the right hand side it is entirely function of x. So y and x, they are separated. That's called explicit function. Whereas the implicit function is in which the separation of these variables is not so easy. Then we write it as if f is a function of x and y, and this is equal to 0. So if we write in this way, that means x and y, they are mixed together, and this is equation which is equal to 0. So this is called explicit function. This type of functions are called implicit function. As an example, let me give you an example, a short example. Let's say if we write y is equal to 2x plus 3. So you see this x and y, they are separate, right? So this is called explicit function. But if we write x square y plus y square x, or y square plus 3 equal to 0, so you say from here it is difficult for us to write y separately and x separately, or we can have another function. So like if we add this sine xy or sine y, so you will find from here removing this y separately and putting this x separately is going to be difficult. So that's called implicit functions. So far whatever we are focusing is this explicit function. So y, if it is given to us, we can go for the dy upon dx. So here performing dy upon dx is quite easy. But in what happens when the functions are implicit, so that's what I'm going to discuss over here in this particular case. So in case of implicit functions, we differentiate that, right? And then differentiation goes very similar way as we did in case of this explicit function. So let me take one example for that. So let's consider the example very similar to that I have given just earlier. So it says find dy upon dx if the function is this. So it's a x square y plus y square plus 3x plus sine y equal to 0. So we need to differentiate this, and we need to find dy upon dx. So how we proceed? We will say we will operate this dy upon dx differentiated both sides. So we will starting like this. We are operating this d upon dx. That's the operation we are applying on this. So it will be d upon dx of x square y and plus y square plus 3x plus sine y. So whatever it is, we will write everything there. So that's on the left hand side, and d upon dx, that's the operation that we are applying on the right hand side, which is on 0. We know on 0 it becomes 0 because that's a constant. Now then we know that has to be expanded to all of it. So we will be saying that d upon dx we need to do over this x square y. Then we need to say this d upon dx over y square, and then this we need to say this 3 is a constant. We need to do this d upon dx over x, and finally this will be done d upon dx over sine y. This is going to be equal to 0. Making sense? Now the first part will be asking for using this law that's called a product law. So we will be writing first function as such, x square, and differentiating the second, which is y. So it's going to be dy upon dx. That's what we need to find. Plus we will keep this y square, this y as such, not y square, it's a y. And then we will be differentiating x square with respect to x. So x square differentiation with respect to x will become twice x, plus we are differentiating this y square. So y square will be differentiated as a 2y. Then we need to multiply with dy by dx. Why we are doing so? Because this is y, this variable with respect to which we are differentiating is x. So first this is going to be differentiated just like y, so twice y, power formula, and then whatever that is, that has to be further differentiated and multiplied. You remember the chain rule, that's what is going on. Plus this is dx upon dx, so dx upon dx is 1, so that will leave left as 3, plus First you will differentiate this sign, that will become into, get converted into cos, so that will be cos y, and then this y will be a different function, so dy upon dx has to be multiplied. Basically whenever we are differentiating y, then after differentiation we need to multiply with dy upon dx. This has to be equal to 0. Then you can see wherever dy upon dx is coming, you can take this dy upon dx as a common. Once you take this common, there will be certain terms coming in, like x square in this case, and plus 2y plus this cos y, and this must be equal to, let's take all the terms other side, so other side is going to be minus 2xy, and then minus 3. That's all, because these two terms are going to other side, and you can do calculation as per your speed and convenient, but rules are the same. So dy upon dx will turn up as a minus 2xy minus 3 divided by this number which was there, that is x square plus 2y plus cos y. Now you see, from here we are able to find the value of dy upon dx even though the function was implicit in nature. So this is the new point that you are learning. Whenever the function is given as implicit, that means combination of x, y are given together, then you start differentiating. That means you apply this operator, take it inside, go for all the individual elements. Whenever there is x, differentiate x with respect to x by using the normal rule. Wherever you are differentiating y, then differentiate first y and then multiply dy by dx, because that's going to come as per the chain rule. And then you simplify all of it, then collect this dy upon dx one side and then find this value. I hope you have got the idea. So whenever this kind of implicit function you are getting, you are going to differentiate in this way. Next point is a differentiation of vectors. So we know, if let's say a vector is given to us, so this vector is this can be like ax, the component of x, and some direction. So it can be in I cap direction plus ay j cap direction. And if somebody says find this differentiation of this, so what we do, we go for this dA vector upon dt, let's say with respect to t. So we are differentiating with respect to t. So any variable you can choose for differentiation purpose. So here I have chosen this t. So this has to be said that d upon dt is the operator that you need to apply on this entire function. So on this entire right hand side, ai cap plus ay j cap. Now generally you will get I cap j cap in basic case. So this will be expanded, and you'll find when you are going to expand it, this I cap is going to be a constant direction. Mind it, this I cap and j cap, they are fixed directions. So I cap means x direction which is fixed, j cap means y direction which is fixed. That means I cap and j cap, they are not varying with respect to t, the variable that we have introduced. We are intending to say that t is a time. So with respect to time, I cap and j cap, they are normally not changing. So they are not changing, right? So that means they will be treated as a constant. So we will say that you need to perform d upon dx on this ax. That means whatever this ax is, it can be d upon dt rather, because we are doing with respect to time. So this has to be performed over this this ax, and then we will be writing this I cap separately, because I cap can be taken outside. Similarly, j cap can be taken outside, and this operation has to be performed on ay. So that's going to be j cap. So point is, we are operating this differentiation on y cap, this ay, y component, and performing this operation on x component, and we are taking this I cap j cap outside because these directions are constant. Later on you are going to learn, we will also take some directions which are variable, like r theta, r direction or theta direction. So in circular case, we just like this I cap j cap, we can assign any direction, like this is r direction, so this is r cap, and let's say this is r measured from this direction which is I cap. So this particular direction is called theta cap. So we will be using two coordinate system, r cap and theta cap, particularly in circular motion. My point is, if this r cap is changing, theta cap is changing, then we are not going to take them out of this differentiation. Making sense? So what is this r cap and theta cap, we will be learning later on. Here you just think that if the directions are variable, then what to do. So if direction is variable, So if a vector is given as, let's say, a component or ar in r cap direction plus a theta in theta cap direction. Now when I write ar, that means that's a component along the r direction, so r is a subscript, here theta is a subscript, so that's a r cap direction, that's a theta cap direction. I will explain later on in relevant chapter what is this r cap, which is this theta cap. Here what I am trying to explain, here r cap and theta cap, they are not constant, they are variable. And if this is given, then what to then we can find this dA upon dt. So let's say we are finding dA upon dt, so how the rule will go, that's what I'm explaining. D upon dt you need to apply on this entire right hand side stuff. So this is going to be ar r cap plus a theta theta cap. Then there's a plus, so that means you can go for this distribution, so you distribute a upon d upon dt on ar r cap, and then d upon dt on a theta theta cap. Now this they are going to be treated as a product rule, because ar is a function which can be a function of time. If ar is a constant, you can take it out. If r cap is a constant, you can take it out. If both are constant, that it will become 0. So rules will be always there. So assuming that all are variables, so this will be behaving like a product of two functions. This will be behaving like a product of two functions. So we'll apply the formula of product. So we'll write the first function as such. We will differentiate the second function. Then we will find the sum. We'll keep the second function as such. We will differentiate the first function. Are you getting this? So this is going to be the general way of writing the differentiation in case of direction varies. And then we are going to write the product rule for this as well. So we write this first function as such, that means a theta, differentiating this theta cap with respect to t if t is given, and then we will keep this theta cap as such, then d upon dt of this a theta. So point is, we will be applying the rules of differentiation even with the vectors. Now whenever you get I cap j cap, here life is easy, because I cap and j cap, they are constant, they can be taken outside of the differentiation. Whereas in case of circular coordinates, r cap theta cap, which may change and which generally changes, in that case of differentiation, you should not take r cap as a constant, you should not take theta cap as a constant until and unless you have been stated that they are constant. So for that sake, you need to treat them, that means we need to differentiate. Now if you look this expression, so this is trying to say the rate of change of r cap direction with respect to time. So we can also find the rate of change of directions very similar way, the rate of change of a magnitude. Making sense? So in vectors, magnitude can also change, direction can also change. When something changes, then it becomes of interest what is the rate of change of that thing, whether this is a magnitude or that is a direction or that is an entire vector, right? So if you see this dA vector by dt, this dA vector by dt is trying to say rate of change of the vector itself, and it is using the rate of change of let's say here direction, whereas here it's using rate of change of magnitude of some part. Similarly, this is also rate of change of direction, this is the rate of change of magnitude, and this is formula in which other numbers are also getting multiplied. So this is a general idea, and it's a bit complex story as well. So I'm not taking example of this as of now, but in later on when we will be studying the circular motion or rotational motion, then this kind of coordinates are going to play a role. But you need to keep in mind, if the direction is there or magnitude is there, if we need to differentiate, we will be differentiating all of them following the rules. If the quantity is constant, we can take it out, otherwise we will be in differentiating it. Fine. So that's another point I wanted to share related to the differentiation. Another important point is partial differentiation. So we have talked about what the differentiation is and what the rules of differentiation are, and if it comes as a partial differentiation, we can add on those rules to understand what the partial differentiation is. Okay, let's say we talk about any function or relation y is equal to fx. When we say y equal to fx, that means x is an independent variable, y is a dependent variable, and we can apply dy upon dx, so we get a dy upon dx from there. That means here y is this dependent variable y depends only on one independent variable. So y is a function of only one variable. When it is a function of only one variable, again life is easy. And for later on, you might get a function which depends more than one variable. Right. For instance, equation of wave you will be learning like this: y is equal to a sine kx minus omega t. That's in your syllabus, plus phi. So that's called equation of wave. This is if we need to write about equation of the sound, or equation of the light, or equation of any wave that we know. So for that sake, this kind of equation we write. Now you see this y is dependent on two variables. One is a x, another is a t. So a function can consist of one dependent variable, and there can be more than one independent variables. So in this kind of situations, whenever we need to find differentiation, there partial differentiation plays very important role. So what is that we are going to learn here. So let's say a function is like this: z is given as a function of two variables x and y. So here I am considering this z to be dependent on x and y. So x and y are independent variables. So it's a function of more than one variable, that is of two. There can be n number of variables. Once we understood for two, that can be extended to any number of independent variables. No, so here when we differentiate it both sides, so here it will be very difficult for us to say dz upon dx, because this we use the symbol only if when z is a function of x alone. Similarly, neither we will be able to say dz upon dy. So what we are going to do is, so for that thing, if we differentiate it, it becomes, or it is written as dz, simply dz. That is going to be equal to del f upon del x. So we will be writing del upon del. This is symbol read as a del. It's also related to delta, just like this. This is called delta, and this is called d. All are having, and this is another symbol like this. So all this refer to change. So if this is also called del. So del, delta, d. Everything they make sense for change. Now del we use for partial change, partial differentiation. Delta we use for a significant change. D we use for infinitely small change. And del this symbol is used when we have a change even smaller. Right. So these are the symbols that we use. So here we are using del. So del this is used for partial differentiation. So rule goes like del f by del x. That means we will be differentiating it partially with respect to x, and then we will writing as a dx. Then we will write plus, we will differentiate the same function partially with respect to y, then we will write dy. So that's what the formula is. And then I'm going to explain what this del x upon del f upon del x indicating, or del f upon del y is indicating. First you need to grasp this. So change in z is going to be partial differentiation of f with respect to x dx plus partial differentiation of f with respect to y dy. Now what this partial means, whenever we're talking about the partial differentiation, let me write over here. When we write this del f by del x, it reads as it is read as a partial differentiation of f with respect to x. That means we will be differentiating f by using the logic or rules or procedures that we have learned, and that differentiation has to be with respect to x. That means wherever x is going to be, we will be differentiating that part. We will be basically differentiating the entire part and following the rules that we are differentiating with respect to x. And in all other variables will be treated as a constant. That means we will treat y as a constant. So when we are differentiating with respect to x, we will treat y as a constant. So we are partially differentiating. right? Similarly, when we are differentiating f with respect to y, that's called partial differentiation of f with respect to y. In this case, we will treat x as a constant. So we will be differentiating entire expression with respect to y, keeping x as a constant. So that's called partial differentiation. And then we can put over here, and this equation will be known as differential equation. Making sense or not? This will make better sense if we take one example. So let's consider this example. Let dz is given as z is given as x square plus y plus 2x square y cube. You can clearly see this z depends on x and y. It's not simply depending on x, it's also depending on y. So that's called a function which is dependent on more variables, more than one variable rather. So from here we need to find the partial differentiation. So let's say we are finding this del z upon del x. So how we are going to write this del z upon del x? So that partial differentiation we are learning over here. So del over del x, here we are not going to write d, rather we are going to write del to indicate the partial differentiation. And we will put the value of x, z, whatever it is. So it's x square plus y plus 2x square y cube. When we are operating this, so we will be thinking we are differentiating this expression in a way we know, and we will keep y as a constant. We will assume this y as a constant, and we will be differentiating with respect to x. So if we expand it, it's going to be some sort of this del upon del x of x square plus del upon del x of y. Y will be treated as a constant. Here y will be treated as a constant, so 2 and y cube can be taken outside, and del upon del x of x square. Making sense? So this will be simplified to first term will become twice x as per the differentiation rule, and the second term will become 0 because y is being treated as a constant in partial differentiations, and this is going to become twice x, so this 2 and 2 become 4, so 4x y cube. So that becomes our answer. So we can say twice x, ultimately it come out to be twice x plus 4 times x into y cube. So this is how the partial differentiation of z will occur with respect to x. Similarly, can we write this del z with respect to y? That means partial differentiation of z with respect to y. Yes, we can. So now we will be expanding this del upon del y on the entire three terms. So that will come del upon del y x square, that's the first term, del upon del y over y, that's the second term, plus del upon del y, and that has to be operated on this 2 times x square y cube. And then you will find since we are differentiating with respect to y, so we need to take x, or we need to treat x as a constant. So that's first is differentiation of a constant, which is going to be 0. Second, differentiation of y with respect to y is 1. Third, from here you can take this 2x square outside because 2x square is a constant now. Y is a variable, and y cube differentiation with respect to y will come out as a power formula to 3y square. So ultimately our answer come out to be 1 plus 6 times x square y square. Now you say del z upon del y is a different number, del z upon del x is a different number. So we got to know partial differentiation with respect to x with respect to y. If somebody else would find the dz, then we can place the value of partial differentiation here, partial differentiation with respect to y there, and that will be there. That normally will not be asked to you. What will be asked is to find the partial differentiation. So we should know how to get this partial differentiation. I hope you got the idea. If you got the idea, let's take one last example related to this partial differentiation. So it says let y is equal to a sine kx plus omega t plus phi. That's equation of wave I talked shortly ago. And here it is given that a, k, omega, phi, they are constant numbers. A is a constant, k is a constant, omega is a constant, phi is a constant. Variables, x is a variable, t is a variable. They are independent variables. Y depends on multiple variables. That means more than one variable. So you might be asked to find del y upon del x. That means partial differentiation of y with respect to x. So we are interested in finding partial differentiation of y with respect to x. So we will be applying this operation on this. So this you will find when you apply this operation of differentiation, then a will be coming outside because of constant, and del upon del x will be applied on this expression, which is sine. So first function will be sine to differentiate. So we will be differentiating this sine function and following the chain rule and other rules that we know. So you will find this sine differentiation will turn into cos as per the rule. So it will be a into cos, and whatever it was inside, we will keep that thing inside. So it will be kx plus omega t plus phi. So that's the first outside function differentiation, and then we will be, as per the chain rule, multiplying this partial differentiation of the entire stuff which was inside. It was kx plus omega t plus phi. Now this, whatever the inside is, that can be again differentiated, but that has to be differentiated partially with respect to x. So let's carry with this forward. So it becomes a cos kx plus omega t plus phi, whatever it is, so that remains there. Now when this partial differentiation goes inside, so it has to be differentiating the first term, then the second term, then the third term. So let me write detail points. So first term, this k will come outside, and we are going to differentiate partially this x, and then in the second, omega will come out, and we will differentiate t partially with respect to x, and this will be del upon del x of phi. Now as per the rule, one variable which with respect to which we are differentiating is only variable, and other variables are treated as a constant. So you'll find that this differentiation of time with respect to x will be treated as a 0 because t is considered as a constant, because there are two variables x and t. So when we are differentiating with respect to x, t has to be treated as a constant. Now phi is a constant, so this differentiation becomes 0, and this is going to be equal to 1 because differentiation of x with respect to x is 1. So that means bracket will ultimately leave us k. So final answer of this partial differentiation will come out to be a into k, which is a constant, into cos kx plus omega t plus phi. If you got it, our purpose is fulfilled, that we can differentiate this expression partially with respect to variable x. Now you can also go for and check what the differentiation of y with respect to t is going to be, partial differentiation. I'm writing it directly. You should find it as a omega cos kx plus omega t plus phi. You can follow the rules that I explained. You can check whether you are getting this answer. If you are getting this, that's absolutely correct. Well, so in this video lecture, we have talked about some extra points related to differentiation, and these types are very, very important for us, particularly this partial differentiation. And of course, prior to this, that's also important. So just make notes of them, and that remember these ideas, and they will be useful in future calculations. Okay, thank you for watching. Have a great time.